As soon as there were games, there were competitions. In 1972, Stanford hosted the first video game tournament. A handful of students played the game Space War. The prize was a subscription to Rolling Stone magazine. 8 years later, Atari held the first national tournament in New York. More than 10,000 people took part in the Space Invaders Championship. Thanks to the growing popularity of competitions, a 17-year-old boy from Los Altos showed the world what gamers could be. Dennis Fong spent most of his childhood in Hong Kong. His family moved to the Bay Area in 1989 when he was 12.
There was probably a point in time where we had maybe 3, 4, 5 computers at home, whereas most people maybe had one. So that was certainly a distinct advantage.
In 1993, Fong's life changed with the release of Doom. The game was simple. Shoot as many demons and monsters as possible. What was different was how it looked. The graphics were the best ever done. At the age of 16, Fong found he and the game were a perfect match. He used the alias Thresh when he played against other people. Thresh was unbeatable.
I don't know how to explain it, but I essentially can see your point of view in my head as I'm running around doing my thing. And I can kind of see like, okay, I think you're going to be rounding around this corner right about now. And you know, a lot of times I was correct, right? That's kind of the Thresh ESP thing. My style was just control the resources, control my opponent, get him to go where I want him to go, and then basically just keep squeezing and strangling him until his will breaks.
By 1995, Fong was the best Doom player on the West Coast. That year, Microsoft released Windows 95. As part of the celebration, the software company held a Doom tournament. Fong got an invitation. It was the first big world championship. So big, even Microsoft founder Bill Gates got involved.
These games are getting really realistic.
Fong defeated 24 gamers from across the US and the United Kingdom.
That was probably the first true esports event ever. There was over $10,000 worth of prizes, hundreds of spectators, thousands of dollars of sponsorships.
A few months later, he got a call from the Wall Street Journal. The reporter wanted to do a story on the gaming phenomenon.
So he comes to the door, I answer the door at my parents' house, and he's like, oh, hi, I'm Joseph Pereira. And I was like, wait, who are you again? He's like, I'm from the Wall Street Journal. And I said, oh, dude, I just woke up. Could you come back like in half an hour after I wake up and get ready? And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. So he spends I don't know, the better part of a day with me, just watching my interactions and stuff. And he ends up writing a story about online gaming, but where I was really the centerpiece of the story. And I remember I ended up A1 front page above the fold with a little pixel drawing of me. I think it was either George Bush or Bill Clinton. We were the only two pictures on the front page of the Wall Street Journal.
As soon as the paper hit the newsstand, Dennis Fong had a career.
I was just taking it one day at a time, to be honest. Probably one of my first meetings that I remember was with Hasbro. And then I remember an ISP called Earthlink. Their CEO reached out, and I want to say they sponsored me for something like $30,000 or $40,000, which is obviously a ton of money.
In 1996, Fong and his brother started Gamers.com, where he shared his strategy for winning video games.
So they'd pay me to show up for 3 hours, sign autographs, or take on all comers. And they'd pay me 10 grand to show up, plus travel and expenses. So it was, for someone that's 17 or 18, to get paid 10 grand to show up for a few hours is pretty awesome.
In 1997, Thresh competed in Quake Red Annihilation, a nationwide video game tournament. Once again, Fong won. This time, with the money, came a red Ferrari. That was a problem.
I got a ship from Texas. So the first time I got the car, I took it to the dealership to get it serviced. they popped the hood and they said, we don't recognize one thing in this, like literally not a single part. You know, I said, what does that mean? He's like, and they said, well, we can't touch this car because you'll have to ship it to Texas to get it serviced. So that was the one kind of crappy part of this super cool Ferrari that I won. It was like, I don't know, 10 grand back and forth. And so I just said, you know what, I'm done with the car, so I ended up selling it.
At the age of 20, Dennis Fong was the undisputed champion of video gaming. He was running his own company, and the Guinness Book of World Records dubbed him the world's first professional gamer. And he had enough.
I was, I don't know, 21 or something like that, and it was incredibly stressful, both emotionally taxing and, you know, just, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had 100 some odd people's lives kind of, you know, on my shoulders is what it felt like. The second reason was I actually started getting kind of repetitive stress, like kind of carpal tunnel stuff on in my forearms and my wrists.
Fong is now an entrepreneur. He started and sold several companies. And even though he's out of the game, he says esports is just getting started.
Probably within 5 years, gaming probably will be the #2 sport in the world. I mean, probably only behind soccer.
Now that gaming has gotten so big, you don't have to be a professional player to be a gaming celebrity.
We filled stadiums full of 50,000 people and had a tournament with, you know, $21 million in prizes for a single event.